Hello and welcome to the HP Podcast, episode number 283. I'm Ben, and with me here today are two of the most beautiful boys you've ever seen. The first one, this isn't in order of beautifulness, but the first one is Dave. It's not necessarily not in order of beautifulness either. But Dave, hello, welcome.
You got to pick a side, Ben.
I'm not doing it, bro. I'm not doing
it. You can't play both sides. Sorry, Dave.
I'm doing it. I'm playing both sides. Sorry. Dave, hello. How are you? Greetings.
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Yeah, it's cooler today than it has been, so that's nice. I'm still running the AC because I gotta, but I don't want to die actively.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I came back from your great country.
Yes, that's right.
Traveled through 3 states, which it's the second time I've done that, and I know that's not a big deal considering how densely packed in the states are in the U.S. But yeah, traveled through upstate New York, Pennsylvania, and finally Ohio, and then came back the same way. But I have a question. Do you guys just light off fireworks every single night of the year?
There doesn't typically have to be like a specific date. I mean, honestly, I feel like it just keeps getting worse every year. And I'm kind of about it. That's kind of what America's about, just doing whatever you want. And that
you said it gets worse. It sounds like it's getting better to me. I don't know.
Well, worse. Ben, you're right. Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
I just heard lots
Dave,
of them. Could have been gunfire, but then you combine that with the amount of places you can get fireworks along like our route. And there was one place we saw that it had fireworks and karate supplies in one store, and I was just like, "Is that Napoleon Dynamite's brother?" Like,
that's like
crazy.
Joe Dirt, bro. That's like,
yeah.
Holy
I
shit.
would imagine, Dave, that because Independence Day, the greatest holiday of the entire span of history, obviously. Since that is coming up, you probably saw way more fireworks providers and heard way more fireworks than normal. But I would not say it's abnormal. Good. But I think, I love fireworks, don't get me wrong. But there's a time and a place, right? Like, me and my buddies in college, high school even a little bit, we'd take a trip, couple hours, go over the border to Ohio, grab a bunch of mortars and fireworks, spend too much money on it, come back out into my buddy's a field. He had acres and acres and acres, set them off at 9 p.m. Nobody was around, didn't bother anybody, just because we like things to explode. We weren't bothering anybody. We weren't making noise in the neighborhood. We weren't in any danger. We weren't being stupid. But some people, it's it's 1 o'clock in the middle of the city. We should set off fireworks.
So I gotta ask, why did you go to Ohio? Do they have better fireworks there? Is it a regulation thing?
Yeah.
Both.
Yeah. So for many years, they kind of have gotten a little bit looser as far as regulation goes. But for a while, we were getting just the bottom of the barrel. Not quite just snakes and smoke bombs, but
Walgreens fireworks.
Close. Yeah. They've gotten lax in recent years, but Ben, I did the same thing in high school. We would drive to Ohio because you can get legit fucking banging fireworks.
Ones that could actually take your arm off.
May explode. You'd have to sign a paper that's hey, I'm just transporting these, and that way they could not legally because you have to show your ID, right?
Yeah.
To buy the shit. So they know
generally, if it's a reputable place, you do.
Well, sure, but they're yep, we're not gonna shoot these off. We're just gonna transport them. And I just transport them right to my fucking home and blow them some bitches up. So yeah, no, it was great, man. I have very fond memories of that. Can you buy fireworks in Canada?
Yeah, but the thing is you only see them in the week leading up to a summer holiday. And the funny thing is all the trailers they're sold out of are Americans. So they'll drive over the border for the week and just park in a parking lot, and then that's where you get your fireworks from. But there's no permanent places to get fireworks.
That was your opportunity. You were already driving through. You could have made a couple $100 in the next couple weeks.
I'm very anti firework though. I think they're a nuisance, and I don't even have a dog. And most of the people I know who hate fireworks are just because it scares their dogs. But I'm just couldn't be less interested in fireworks. So
Have
Yeah.
you ever have you ever tied together like dozens and dozens of firecrackers at once?
are you suggesting that I just haven't experienced the good stuff?
Dude,
You haven't experienced the adrenaline.
I don't know, dude. You haven't almost been bodily injured. That's what. That's
I
all
haven't
I'm
bought
saying.
cheap beer and fireworks at the same time, is what I'm hearing.
There was a period in my life when I was a kid, probably like 10 to 14 years old, that my buddy and I, we had this, this handheld video camera. And I say handheld specifically because only a few years before that, you still had to set them on your shoulder to be able to hold them. But it was like one of the first camcorders we could actually like move around and take with us. And we would get a bunch of fireworks. And instead of like lighting the whole pack and it pop, 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 we'd take them apart and the little fuses.
Yeah.
And we had this big dirt pile outside my house because there was a big construction project, and next to my house that was where they put all the dirt. Not next to my house, but you know what I mean. And we would go outside and like make these big displays and like bury some of them and tie some of them to little green army men and then film them blowing up. And like it was like a war scene. And like we had a lot of fun with that. And bottle rockets and all that kind of stuff. But again, those are like, it's a little pop. It's not like insanely loud fireworks. That's what. Do it not when people are sleeping, and don't do it in the middle of your neighborhood. That's unless it's like the 4th of July weekend or something like that.
Right,
Then
right.
I think it's it's a 1 week in the year nuisance, but that it's at least acceptable and understandable. But the people who set them off on like, hey, it's Christmas Eve, let's set off some fireworks at 3 a.m. and all the dogs in the neighborhood will be here and the veterans in the neighborhood will be traumatized. Yeah, I don't like that.
Dave, have you shot your friend with a Roman candle?
I have.
Oh, dude, God bless. That is one of the best things of all time.
Especially on a bike.
Oh,
As like
dude.
in a movie.
Yeah.
Hypocrite. Say you don't like fireworks, but turns out
So that was
read the old
13-year-old Dave.
tweets.
I am
Read the old tweets.
36 now, so it's very different.
The old tweets
Yeah.
say differently, Dave. Sorry.
Read the old tweets.
Guys, I was thinking about something. Oh, Brandon is also here. Brandon, hello.
Hey, what's up?
Greetings. Brandon, I think what Dave saw, there are some of the, especially in Ohio, probably in Michigan as well. I don't know where all Dave was, but there are some of those like permanent roadside fireworks places, but I imagine they're only busy within like the first couple weeks or those few weeks. They're like really busy, or maybe the months leading up to it.
Right.
But around here, like the week and a half, 10 days right now, really, every parking lot you can lay your eyes on has like a fireworks tent set up this time of year.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, I think they just make enough money
Mm-hmm.
during that time that they could just kind of sustain themselves for the majority of the year. So
And some of them are attached to like an antique pottery barn. No, Pottery Barn's like a real place, but like you see like flea market, and on the back side of it, it's another building that has fireworks, and so it's really they're just leasing it off
A
them for real
barn with
cheap, probably.
pottery in it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a barn with pottery on it.
they live in half the trailer and the other half is filled with fireworks. Questionable decision
Mhm.
making.
Yeah,
But
it's like a bull in a china shop, but instead it's a fireworks shop next to a china shop
yeah, so
or an antique shop.
well, you gotta make a living somehow.
Yeah, that's right. Guys, this is totally not about fireworks or video games, which is what this show's about, and I'll tell you about that more in a minute. Do you remember Edward Scissorhands?
Of course.
Just think about the premise of that movie.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just saw an image of Johnny Depp as Edward Scissorhands recently in a meme format or something.
Yeah.
And I was like, how did this movie get made? Who greenlit this movie? And also, how is it such a like cult classic?
It is ridiculous. I think the answer to your question is Johnny Depp and Tim Burton. I think that's
Yeah.
the two main things.
Johnny Depp was pretty young when that happened, though.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He's handsome as hell. Strange premise. Tim Burton's got a beautiful, twisted, fucked up little dark mind.
Yeah. You can almost make a Kanye album out of it.
Yeah, dude. That practically was the Kanye album.
Yeah. I just don't understand how, like, hey, we're going to make a movie about this, like, was he a cyborg? Not a cyborg, but like an android of some kind? Wasn't he like an experiment?
I would imagine he had scissors
And he had
in his hand.
scissor hands. And this family like takes him in and he falls in love with the daughter. Is that right?
Helena
Am I
Bonham
remem-
Carter.
It's been
was not
20
in that
years
movie,
since I've seen
right?
it. I'm sorry?
Helena Bonham Carter was not in that movie, right?
I don't think so. I think that's
She
before
must
they
have been
met, maybe.
Too young,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I don't know. It always made me really. It was huge when I was young, and it made me really uncomfortable watching that movie because I was like, "Is this a horror movie?"
It's not.
And it's basically From Software made video games based. Like From Software games make me, because I'm like, this isn't horror, but it's close, and I'm really uncomfortable in it.
Well, dude, it almost is kind of like body horror a little bit.
Yeah.
But while we're on random tangents, boys, I saw this Arby's commercial today, and they're advertising a new burger, and I want to get you guys' take on this. They're advertising a new burger, and I swear to Christ, it's a thick burger from Arby's. They're the ones that say we got the meats, right?
Mm-hmm.
But in the advertisement, it gets cut in half, and it's pink on the inside. How do we feel about eating pink beef meat from a fast food chain restaurant?
I mean,
how do we feel about
how
that?
pink is it? How pink is it?
Does it matter?
I don't think it matters, Ben.
It does a little bit. I mean, as far as taste, or as far as do we trust it?
Taste irrelevant.
Okay, then do we trust it? No, I don't really trust that. No.
Yeah,
but I also know the people who work. I mean, I don't literally know them, but I know the types of people who work at Arby's. You know, generally, I'm not trusting them to actually get the meat to the temperature that they want it to be. So it's probably just well done. Like, honestly, how many times have you ever gone to Arby's, I mean, or anywhere that was a fast food restaurant and your food came out exactly as you expected it to be? 1 in 10?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
You ask for no pickles and you get extra pickles and like a jar on the side. I mean, I would never ask for no pickles because I love pickles, but I know that every time I ever go to McDonald's with Dustin, pretty much every time. Now, granted, Dustin asks for like weird things or nothing on his burger. And every time I've ever been with him, I think they've messed it up.
Yeah, they don't like to listen. But yeah, I just found that ridiculous because the commercial was centered around like them cutting the burger in half because it was so like thick. And then they like panned to it in half and it was pink on the inside. And I say, I don't know, man. I just don't. If I want to make a nice, juicy, delicious, thick burger at my house on the grill, fine. Pink's great. That's fantastic. From a fast food place, I just don't know that I feel comfortable with that.
Think about it from the marketing angle, though. I mean, yeah, there's you who says, no, I don't want that. Dave and I, we pretty much agree. But just think about if you were to be like, hey, look how thick it is, and you cut it open and it's just dark inside. That's a whole different segment of people that you're cutting off from wanting your product.
Yeah, but
you got to make it look a little bit delectable, even if it's not actually going to be that way.
It's less about the fact that it's pink and more about like the implications of why it's pink, if you know what I mean.
It's also Arby's. Like, we're talking about Arby's here. So I don't know that Arby's is really known for
quality control.
Yeah.
They're known for having the meat.
Dude, guys, low key secret. I haven't had them in 5 years probably, but used to. I'd go and I'd get the mozzarella sticks from Arby's. You wouldn't expect Arby's to have good mozzarella sticks. They do. I'm
gonna have to peep that. Maybe I'll eat my medium rare hamburger in some mozzarella sticks. I'll just
at the roast beef restaurant.
Yeah. Do
you guys remember Rax? RAX?
I've seen a couple.
It was an old. They had roast beef too, and other things. But I remember there was a. Yeah, Rax was huge for a long time, and then it just totally disappeared.
Yeah. Is that an Ohio thing?
No, I've never saw one in Ohio, actually.
Really?
Yeah. Boys, This is a show about video games. It's called the HP Podcast. We're here every Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern, live on YouTube, as well as on Patreon, if you're a patron, on Wednesdays or before. Thursdays for everyone else. If you want to support us on Patreon, get the show ad-free early on audio feeds. You can do that at patreon.com/handsomephantom. We appreciate you hanging out with us there. You can also go over to handsomephantom.com/discord, sign up, chat with the boys and girls, and just see how it feels. You don't got to make any commitments. Just see how it feels. Just slip in there.
Oh my.
Spit on that. Can we do moratorium Hawk-Tua for the show?
Hawk-Tua.
Because I can't help myself.
Be the
Dave, you were the one.
That thing.
You were the one who brought it up, Dave. So it's your decision if you want to. I did not.
Yes.
And I would not have.
Dude, I was saying it last night on stream, but between her and the Oilers girl, I not only am a fan of the Oilers now, but now my faith is restored in humanity.
There are women in Alberta. There's proof now.
Oh my god!
I
Dude.
saw a tweet that was like,
I
"I'm
love
putting
hockey
together,
now.
Putting together a team.
I'm putting together a team," and it was
Okay,
like
so
that girl,
who
the
was
Oilers
the third
girl,
one?
the girl on the plane.
Yeah.
She was the woman who was like, I think she was drunk, and
That
she just had like
motherfucker's not real.
a manic moment, and she was like screaming that some guy wasn't real, thought he was an alien or something.
like actually losing her shit.
Yeah. I think there was another version of that with like a fourth person, but I don't remember who it was.
Yeah, it was a cop.
She's the one
yeah.
that like banged all her coworkers and they were like
Yes.
fucking in the gym and stuff. God
Yeah.
damn. God bless America. Shit.
Put
shit
together a
shit.
team.
Yeah. God. Well, I guess in Canada too.
Yeah. Well, as mentioned, this is a show about video games, so maybe we'll get to the video games now. Number one, somehow our lead story for the week. Sony announced it will end Sony Rewards program associated with its Sony and PlayStation branded credit cards by December 31st, 2024. Users must redeem points and access their accounts before this date. After July 21st, physical bonus points, and which, by the way, is about a month from now, and purchase credit request forms cannot be mailed. This program should not be confused with the PlayStation Stars loyalty and digital collectible program, where you can get a miniature Jim Ryan bobblehead, which has been out of commission for some time now. Players can still track their progress, or PlayStation Star specifically, by generating an email directly from Sony. Boys, I wanted to bring this up, not because I really think it's that big of a deal, but Sony Rewards has been a big thing. I've been tempted by it a couple times, but I have much better credit cards, and I don't buy that many games on PlayStation that I need a credit card for it. But I want to know what you think. And also, I want to talk about the PlayStation Stars program. PlayStation Stars has been down. That's the loyalty program. If you buy a digital game, you get points on PlayStation Stars. You also get digital collectibles, all that kind of stuff. But it's been inaccessible for a little while now. And I'm wondering if these two things are connected or whatever. So, Brandon, take it any which way direction you want on PlayStation Rewards and PlayStation Stars.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm incredibly stubborn and unwilling to do almost anything I don't feel like doing. And so I will frequent a place often and they will have a rewards program and I still won't sign up for it. And people say, Brandon, why would you do that? You go there often. And I say, well, I just don't feel like it. So I'm a bit of a moron when it comes to this sort of thing. So I'm sure there would be benefits to something like PlayStation Stars and something like Sony Rewards. I feel like isn't the idea that Stars is taking over for rewards though? I mean, that's kind of the impression I was getting, is that it was the new way to reward yourself for buying into the ecosystem. So I don't really think this is a huge deal. But even more so, I mean, Stars really doesn't have anything for me because for the most part, I don't really buy digital. But yeah, I don't know, boys. Yeah, I'm just the wrong guy to ask, I guess, as far as this goes, because I don't know my ass from a hole in the ground. As far as rewards go.
Dave, I know as a digital man, you've mentioned, at least in passing before, PlayStation Stars, I believe. I can't remember when it was, but I think I bought Hogwarts Legacy. I don't know. Yeah, I bought Hogwarts Legacy digitally, so I had a bunch of points from that, and I bought some other indie games digitally, and so I had some like reward points. I cashed it in for $5 off of something else. But as far as that, and that was from PlayStation Stars. As far as the rewards program, I think it's just a credit card that basically any purchases you made got you points that you could then redeem on PlayStation. But I'm not sure. But anyway, I wanted to hear your thoughts as the digital man of the group, more digital man of the group.
Yeah, I actually didn't know this rewards program existed. Not Stars, but the credit card one, and I don't think it was available in Canada. So
probably not. Yeah.
But when I read about this today, I thought I would be interested in that. And like you, Ben, I have a better credit card now, so I doubt it would have been enough to sway me. And I read a little bit into it, and the consumer experience for this card wasn't great. It actually transitioned from Capital One to a smaller credit holder like 2 years ago. They used to have an app and everything, and that all disappeared. So I'm wondering if this was sort of something that had been coming for a while, and maybe this was Jim Ryan that was kind of holding this up, and now that he's gone, Sony has finally decided to pull the plug. But I like PlayStation Stars. I just recently started to take advantage of it. I don't know if it's prompted me to buy more digitally. Like if there was a game that was on Xbox and PS5 and they were totally the same to me, I don't know if I'd buy it on PS5 just because of PS Stars, but I think I've saved like $10 on PS Stars just by redeeming my points. So I like it. I like to check the thing every now and then just to see where I am. But this credit sort of rewards thing, apparently, like, you'd get 5 points for every dollar you spent on anything Sony, and then like 1 point on every dollar you spent on anything else. And I don't know how quickly the points added up, but it sounded like it wasn't a very great program. So I don't know. I like this, and this, Stars isn't something that Xbox has, I don't believe, but Nintendo does have something where you gain coins. And yeah, as someone who does buy digital quite a bit, I do like to cash those in every now and then, even if I'm only saving $1 or $2, even on a Nintendo thing. So these are good. These exist, and they have for a long time, and they will continue to exist for a long time. So it's a good thing to have on these digital storefronts, because people will be loyal and you'll save money. So yeah,
I'm wondering if they're going to revamp it and bring PlayStation Stars more integrated, because like I said, it's been, at least your ability to see it, I think people are still gaining points on digital purchases, but it's been down for a little while, so I'm curious.
Did you guys see the meme of it's the guy standing in front of the server rack like this, and it says these are the two dudes responsible for fixing stars? They put Astrobot in the corner beside him.
I think that was Radic.
Oh, was it?
I think it was Radic that did that.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Shout out Radic.
It was either Astrobot or Sackboy. I can't remember now which one he did.
Could have been Sackboy.
The other thing is, Dave, you mentioned Xbox. Xbox does have a rewards program. It's not as good as it used to be, and I think they do have a credit card now. But the thing with Xbox is you get points for using their app, so for logging in, doing daily challenges or whatever, and then you get points for booting up specific games or playing a game on Game Pass or getting X amount of achievements or whatever, and they add up pretty, like, you don't have to think about it really. I recently just I can't remember other than Game Pass, I honestly can't remember the last time I spent $1 on Xbox platform. And just a couple weeks ago I redeemed a gift card for like $50, which I'm sure I'm just going to use again for Game Pass. So yeah, it's a pretty good program there too. Like I said, I'm not really sure how their credit card works, but I think they did come out with one a year or two ago. And all these cards, and all credit cards really, if you don't pay them off, have insanely high interest rates and everything. So read the fine print, of course, if you're going to hold a balance. Or better yet, just don't buy things you don't have the money for. That's a novel idea, unless it's an emergency. But most of the time, anything on Xbox and PlayStation are probably not an emergency. As far as PlayStation Stars goes, I love how you'll like look at it and it'll be like, you can get this collectible of Shuhei Yoshida if you play one of these 5 games. And it's like, well, I don't have any of these on my console right now. I own these 2, but I'd have to find the disc, which probably wouldn't be that hard. And I have to install it just to hit the start button and start it up. I'm not doing that. But occasionally there'll be like a reward on Xbox that's like, play this game and get 50 points or whatever. I'm like, hey, is that on Game Pass? Great. And I just boot up the cloud thing on Game Pass and get 50 points and immediately close the app. That is a big incentive for that one. So, but yeah, rewards programs, I'm not as stubborn as Brandon by any means. I'll sign up for them if it's something I frequent. But they don't usually do the trick for me as far as getting me to commit too much. Number 2. Oh, Alex in chat says you used to be able to get Game Pass for free using the rewards. That's right. I don't know if you still can or not. I think I saw like I have enough again for a month of Game Pass or something, which I think you get better value if you save them and buy the gift cards and then use the gift cards to buy Game Pass, I think. But I've never really done the math because I don't care. Number 2, Sony may be working on a solution to make PS3 games natively playable on PS5. This is according to a rumor, multiple rumors from different journalists. This move could address one of the biggest criticisms of the PS5, the limited backwards compatibility. Currently, most games from the PS3 and backward are not playable on the PS5, while some titles that are added to the PS5 via Premium Classics catalog, they are only available digitally. This was a big deal when the PS4 came out. We won't be able to play our PS3, PS2, or PS1 games. And I think it's a nice feature, but I don't think it's one that most people who squawk about it would actually take advantage of. But the fact that it is available, I think, is a nice thing. But anyway, right now, We only have the Premium Classics catalog, where you can either sign up for the subscription or you can buy them outright, most of them, which is pretty nice, I would say. But Brandon, you've got some experience with this somewhat
Yeah.
recently.
Yeah.
And I wonder how you feel about not only being able to play PS3, PS2, PS1, whatever games on your PS5, but having to rebuy them to do it. If that's acceptable to you, how you feel about that? Go in.
Yeah, no, I think this is great, and I think this is a good step towards games preservation. We've talked about how not a lot of companies really seem too interested in that, especially Sony has been kind of wishy-washy about it. Having a PS3 catalog myself, I feel like this would be something that is interesting. I feel like people were more upset during the PS4 era because the previous console, at least the first iteration of it, did allow you to play backwards compatible, the Chonky Boy, the Chonky PS3. I almost wish they would have never done that, because then nobody would have ever bitched about it ever happening. So I
They
agree
would
with
have
you,
still.
but you think probably
So people
yeah.
still would have found, yeah.
Oh, I know, but um, I do mostly agree with you though, Ben. Is that I think that more people talk about wanting this than would actually ever use it. Like, they want the ability to, which I think is fine in and of itself. But I don't think as many people would utilize it as complain about it. But I don't love the idea of having to repurchase things. I think that if they are going to do this sort of thing, I should be able to pop in my old disc and go to town. But at the end of the day, I'm kind of the mindset here that it's like, if you're able to play these old games, period, I think that's ultimately a win for the culture, the win for preservation. And so even if it be at a purchase, I think that it's a worthwhile endeavor.
Dave, I know recently, for the last couple of years, I've been like, man, I'd really love to play that game again, but there's no way I'm dragging my PS3 out, or whatever. Do you ever have the hankering to go back and play games that aren't available? Or like I'd love to go back and play Undead Nightmare again. I really would, but I'm not dragging out my PS3 or my 360. No, I have it on PS3, and I'm certainly not going to pay $50 again for it, because you know that's ludicrous. I already have it. Why do I need to do that? Have you ever had an instance
Yeah,
where you feel a little itch?
as
right
you
now?
know,
Yeah.
the past 6 months or so, I've kind of been stocking up on old games. I've got the GameCube plugged in 360, and I've been playing regularly. So yeah, I do get those hankerings, and I'd much rather play them on original hardware and kind of have the box now. And I know that's a lot different from a day from a year ago. And I just kind of have a space for them, like that console behind me there. That's where kind of my retro gaming stuff is. And yeah, I mean, in this topic, I think monetization is always going to trump preservation, and PlayStation and Nintendo are going to try and make us think that they're doing the right things for gamers. But it seemed kind of like Sony had an about face when it came to backwards compatibility around halfway through the PlayStation 3 generation and into PlayStation 4, where it was like it just started to become really difficult to play old games on newer hardware, to a point where now it's like you just can't do it. And even so like last year I bought Sleeping Dogs. It was just definitive edition, so that's technically a PS4 game, but that game runs like shit on the PS5. Like, it constantly crashes. Near, that's a PS4 game. I had a lot of crashes that I was dealing with on my PS5. And again, I'm talking about digital games, but I don't know. It seems like the PS5 just has a hard time with anything PS4 and backwards. So maybe this is signaling that Sony's having a bit of a change of heart when it comes to backwards compatibility, and they are going to make it easy for you to just pop into a disc or pop a disc in. But I don't think that's going to be the be all end all, because, as I said, monetization is always going to trump preservation, but hopefully they find a nice little middle ground. But I mean, the good thing is right now, PS3, Xbox 360, all of that stuff is really cheap, both the consoles and the games. So if you're interested in doing that stuff, then I suggest you stock up, because I don't think Sony's ever going to make it that easy for you as it was with like the launch PS3. So yeah, I just got like 4 Xbox 360 games for $5 each a couple weeks back, and most games are that cheap. Again, if you're looking at GameCube stuff, obviously it's getting pretty expensive, but the easiest way is just to old the old stuff. And then if someone decides to turn a server off in the future, then you still got your old consoles. So that's the easiest way to do it in my opinion. So
Yeah, it's certainly, if you have the ability to get those old consoles and stuff, it's worth it. It's funny because I do like the idea and the ease of backwards compatibility, but it's really funny to think about, like, well, I don't expect my original Nintendo Entertainment System games to work on my Switch. Um, that's basically a complete different machine. So there is a limit to it. Like, I don't know that I think the PS5 should be able to play every game that was ever made for any PlayStation console. Probably not. It's unrealistic. We've moved past it. Like, we don't even use the same disc reader anymore for those games. But my mother-in-law recently, not recently, a couple years ago, was like, yeah, we bought, my brother-in-law, this system, and then pretty soon, like a couple years later, he was like, I need this new system, and the old games won't work on it. And this has been years ago. And she was like, the only reason they do that is to make you buy something new. And I'm like, well, that is an incentive, but like, they're totally different. Like, they're better. You're not playing the same games on the new system that you played on the old system. Like, it's a little different. So there is a little bit of lack of understanding there, but I don't really know where I was going. I'm just ranting, but I definitely would like the ability to play old games on new systems, but most of the time I find that the last couple times I've drug out my 360 or I've drug out my PS3, I've played the game for like half an hour and then been like, okay, now I won't think about that again for 10 years. And I don't actually ever get the use out of it. I know there are many people who would, and there are entire series of games stranded on old hardware that is a shame because they're great to experience. But if I want to go play an Atari 2600 game to experience it, I'm not going to expect that I can play it on the Switch. Well, actually, on the Switch you probably can now, but different story altogether. Okay, enough about that. Let's move on to this one, which is particularly appealing to my interest. I'm reloading the tweet. It's a tweet just from the Crash Bandicoot account that says simply, "Whoa! Thanks to our community of Crash players for this memorable milestone." It says Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy sold 20 million units, and that's sell-through. That's not just ordered or whatever. It's been, I don't know, 4 or 5 years since the Insane Trilogy came out. And what a great remake of those games that was. Did either of you boys experience it? Whether the first time around or the second? Brendan?
Yeah. No, I did play, I think Crash 1 and Crash 2 originally. And I played them on the reboot as well. Very, very amazing rework of the originals and just very true to the game itself. So, yeah, I think this just goes to show if you put a little bit of love and not too much into a game, don't change it too much, it can be incredibly successful. And I wish they would do this with more series around this time frame. So, yeah, this is great, man. 20 million units is insane. No pun intended. But yeah, more Crash to come, I would imagine. We've already got more, and I think it's just going to continue to propel the franchise onward. So,
Dave, are you a Crash fan?
Big time. I grew up on Crash. The first, second, and third game were big. I don't know if I beat any of them because I was just a shitty gamer at the time, but I love them. My sister loved them too. So yeah, I love the Crash games. I did play a little bit of the Insane Trilogy. So this 20 million copies, I kind of looked up what that put, like what stratosphere 20 million copies was. And obviously the best selling games of all time are like in the 50 to 100 million, but 20 is like nothing to scoff at. Like I was reading like Devil May Cry and, like God of War was in there, and I think that's probably the original 3, but I was kind of thinking about it. I'm like, I wonder if Sony is seeing these kind of numbers and regretting letting Crash go, whether they let it go, or I don't know what the circumstances was of Sony not having Crash as part of its mainline lineup of mascots. But Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart has only sold just under 3 million copies. So that's kind of a comparable game, I think, just in terms of genre, but also, the kind of reach that it has. So it's wild. And even Crash Bandicoot 4, that's sold over 5 million copies as of April. So Crash is doing real good. And I mean, just to remind everybody, this is an Activision property, so it's owned by Microsoft now. And Toys for Bob recently mentioned that their next game is going to be published by Microsoft. So whether that's more Crash, I have to think it is more Crash Bandicoot, because look how successful this franchise still is. And it's not just sort of the platforming games, but the kart racers, and even we saw a party game recently. So yeah, it's a good time to be a Crash Bandicoot fan. It's a good time for Microsoft. And I just got to think what's going through Sony's head right now, if they could have had, Crash still be something first party, because it's still got legs. Apparently, it's still got legs. Also, Ben, great job on the wow when you opened up there. That was nice.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's a hidden talent of mine, I guess. Yeah, I Crash Bandicoot 1 is the first game that I ever remember purchasing with my own money. I'm not saying it for sure was, but it's the first game I ever remember purchasing with my own money. And I remember playing that game a lot, and I beat it as a kid. I remember beating it. The level in Crash Bandicoot 1 where you run towards the screen, and there's a boulder behind you. I can't remember the name of the level. I remember struggling on that level so hard as a kid. And I remember one time I came home from school, and my dad worked all day, or went to school and then worked all night and everything. He was in college when I was a kid, and I remember a rare day where he was home. In the afternoon, right when I got home from school. And I walked in the living room and he was playing it, and he was like, I can't believe this. I've never seen a game where you run towards yourself. I remember that was the hardest level in the world to me. And when the Insane Trilogy came out, I had played that level so many times 20 years prior that I sat down for that level thinking I wasn't going to be able to beat it on my first try, or be able to beat it easily. And I ran through it on muscle memory almost, and beat it in the first try. Didn't get hit, whatever. I'm not saying I'm a good gamer, but how many of you have done that? Okay.
That's right.
I got lots of Crash memories. Dustin bought me, when he was in Japan, all the Japanese versions of the Crash games. So I'm very happy to see the Insane Trilogy hit 20 million units. That's awesome. Now, David, I agree with your comparison about Ratchet and Clank, but this is also 3 games, and I think it was only $40. So it's a little different scale, and I'm sure most of these haven't sold at the $40 price point. It's much cheaper now, but still, you're right. It's a huge IP, and for Sony to let it slip out of their fingers somehow is rough. Crash was a huge mascot. He was in all the PlayStation commercials and stuff back in the day.
Yeah.
It's wild. CTR was great back in the day. The remake was awesome. Very difficult to get all the trophies on that one, which I did not do. I tried for a minute and I was like, I can't do this. But that multiplayer, that game that just came out, the party game you mentioned, Dave, I recently, within the last couple of weeks, ran across the subreddit and clicked on it. I was like, oh, I didn't even realize this game was out. And looked at it, and the first post I saw was, there's no one still playing this game. All the lobbies are dead. And I was like, oh, bummer.
Oh, no.
Well, I think it was called Wampa, I don't know, something with Wampa fruit. I don't know. But anyway, long live Crash. I hope to see more of Crash in the future. There's nothing that will replace that nostalgia, but we can get close, I think. Let's go on to another one. We've talked about Beyond Good and Evil 2 at various points in the Handsome Phantom HP podcast adventure mode history. For years, we've been talking about this game. As a matter of fact, probably close to 6 years ago now, Dustin made a video that's still probably on our channel asking then, what happened to this game? Where is it? Yesterday, we got a tweet from the Beyond Good and Evil account that says, yes, Beyond Good and Evil 2 is still in development, and we cannot wait for you to discover more about Jade's past in the 20th anniversary edition. Boys, this is now the longest in development game to ever exist. And for whatever reason, they're just like, hey, yeah, it's still coming. Brandon, is this vaporware? Is this ever going to happen?
Yeah.
And do you care about Beyond Good and Evil?
I'll just say off the top, I'm not a hater, but I don't have any experience with the franchise. But seeing something like this as an outsider, I'm saying that it's like non-existent. Like it simply cannot be. And if it does exist, it's not going to be good. I can guarantee you. There's no way something that has been this troubled, that
Yeah.
has had this much mysticism, that has had this much radio silence for this many years. Something's wrong, boys. Something's very wrong. And I still do predict that this game will get canned. It doesn't matter if they tweeted that it's going to be here. We had games that shut down within a year of coming out. I'm not putting anything past the game industry for tweeting something that something's still coming and it doesn't. So yeah, I don't think it's real. Not that there aren't people working on it necessarily. I just don't think. Yeah, that there's just no way. There's no way. Dave,
the Ubisoft Defender. I don't know if any of your secret contacts have any information about Beyond Good and Evil 2.
the Skull and Bone contacts.
Yeah, Eve and I aren't on great terms after the whole Skull and Bones Platinum debacle. So
Yeah.
I don't have any insider information for you, but I'm gonna play devil's advocate with Brandon, and I'm with you. Like I don't have any experience with Beyond Good and Evil, but I understand how appreciated the series is, and the fact that 20th anniversary just came out and it's reviewing really well. I think is I don't think you do that without kind of knowing that something else is coming, or at least using this as a way to test the waters, to see if there is still interest out there. Look how long Ubisoft stuck with Skull and Bones, and look at the pinnacle that was when Skull and Bones came out. So just because something takes a long time doesn't mean that it's necessarily going to be bad. So I don't know. It sounds like this is still coming, and the fact that we have the re-release that just came out just tells me that it's just a matter of time. So I suspect development stopped at one point and probably restarted and probably went dormant for a little while, but projects go dormant all the time and get resumed. So just because we haven't heard anything doesn't mean that it's not happening. So if I had to bet right now, I would bet 3 Roman candles and 2 mortars that this is coming out within the next 2 years.
10 years.
Yeah.
The
rubber, the swingman. What say you?
I'd say it's coming out because I think they've probably thrown too much money at it at this point for it not to come out. I just don't have any confidence it's going to be good or anytime soon, I guess I would say. I know Duke Nukem Forever. As much as I love Duke Nukem, I know Duke Nukem Forever was not good. It was not a great game. I still had fun with it because I love the franchise. But
I like Duke too, and I thought it was bad.
It was bad, yeah. I'm just happy that it is no longer the game that has been in development the longest in history, that it is now Beyond Good and Evil 2. It has now been in development longer than Duke Nukem Forever was. And for that, we can thank Yves Guillemot for setting that right wrong.
Here's another one, Ben, that might strike a chord with you. And I don't think it was in development as long, but Crackdown 3, right? That was one that was just
it was in development for a long time. It was not very good. Another game I still had fun with, but not as good as it could have been. I think they made a lot of promises that got broken in that one with the cloud rendering and everything else that was supposed to happen in that game. But yeah, I still had fun with it. I still thought it was great. I played it for $1, but this was back when Game Pass was still in its infancy. And I literally paid $1 and played the whole game, and a lot of it, actually, if I remember correctly.
And had Terry Crews.
It had Terry Crews.
Terry Crews, man. That's where
there
all
were
the money
some
went.
Good memes. That's where all the money went, for sure. There was a different team that worked on that one than the first two, though. Man, Crackdown 1, my buddy was like, right when I was really getting back into into gaming from being, went from being a kid to playing all sorts of games back in the early 90s to being a more casual game fan for a while, and then was really getting back into games. And my buddy was like, "You got to play Crackdown," and I think we even did like a let's play of it. And then he was like, "Here, just buy it. They have it for sale at Family Video." It was like an old rental box, and so I bought Crackdown in an old rental box for $5 or something. That's still the copy I have. I never bought like a proper copy of the original Crackdown. And we would spend so much time just goofing around in the like multiplayer mode of that. Just just hours of setting up barrels and running cars through them and seeing how far up in the sky we could explode. That was a good time. But Crackdown 3, not as good.
Crackdown 1 was heat. I played that as well.
Yeah.
Was 2 any good? I never played that.
Yeah, 2 was pretty good. Yeah.
Was it?
I think Crackdown 1's the best. Crackdown 2 is still pretty good. Crackdown 3 was... Maybe it's just because it was the third game and they were just building up so much anticipation for it.
Right.
Terry Crews out there flexing his pecs, but it wasn't fun. That's not true. It was fun. It wasn't good. I had fun. I do not think it was good. There's a big difference. Big difference. Brandon, this next one I brought up, and we're going to roll this right into what have you been playing. But first, let's talk about it for a second. Shadow of the Erd Tree is now the highest rated DLC of all time.
Yeah.
And I just copied this directly. It says, with the reviews pouring in, this is from Insider Gaming. With the reviews pouring in, it's a moment of pride and excitement for the gaming community as From Software's highly anticipated Elden Ring expansion, Shadow of the Erd Tree, has already soared to the top, becoming the highest rated DLC of all time. It's got an impressive Metascore of 95 at the time of this writing. I haven't checked it today, based on 56 critics. And that beats Blood and Wine from The Witcher 3, which has a Metascore of 92. Brandon, I wanted to roll right into this because I know you've been playing Erd Tree, and I want to hear you talk about it in depth. We can talk about the controversy around it too.
Sure.
We can talk about Kai if you want.
Sure.
Being on the last boss for over 60 hours at this point. Whatever you want.
Sure. Yeah, no.
Talk about Shadow of the Erd Tree.
I'll start with like the thing that I think is the funniest. You said that Kai's been on the last boss for 60 hours. I don't know if you saw it today. Kai Cenat has been on the last boss of this for 60 hours. He's been playing to try and be the last boss. He brought in a therapist today.
I saw it, dude.
Live on stream because he was like so they're like talking. She's like, you can't give this boss power because he's just gonna give it right back to you. You gotta like persevere. Imagine how good it's gonna feel whenever you beat this. Anyway,
I saw it. It was great.
Dude's amazing. I'm so glad he's a part of the From community. Because he seems like a genuinely awesome dude. And he was recently just shouting out a bunch of content creators, like really big content creators, because people were mad that he From sent him a
giant statue.
Yeah. And people were like, I've been supporting the game. But he kind of showed the love back. So yeah, he seems like a cool dude. What's that?
Real quick, Brandon. Do you think I think Kai's a good guy too. I think he is entertaining and everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you think that any little bit of this is to stretch it out a little bit, to milk it a little longer? Because don't you think he would have had to have planned to bring that therapist in? Like, he didn't just call her up and be like, come to my house and do a...
Do you know how much money that guy has?
Yeah. I'm not talking about the finances of it. Like, I'm sure he could afford it, whatever.
Well, no, but what I'm saying is that, like, if you go on to, like, I don't know. All I'm saying is that when you live in a metropolitan city and you want a therapist in your house and you pay an exorbitant amount of money, they'll come. True. I'm telling you, they have to. He probably lives in like LA or something. I don't know where he lives, but rent's so high there. Any therapist is probably like, you want to pay me $3,000 to come and sit in front of a camera for 2 hours? Okay.
Yeah.
That's just what I think. Maybe he's milking it a little bit. Honestly, I feel like he's been genuine. If you're gonna milk it, fine, but putting 60 hours into one thing is a long time to milk. That's all I'm saying. I've never been personally milked for 60 hours, but I would love to try it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that came out wrong. Let me rephrase that.
Did it come out wrong, Brandon?
I would never milk something for 60. No, that still doesn't sound right. Anyway, Shadow of the Erd Tree is fantastic, boys. A crowning achievement, truly. I'm about what was I last night? I'm a little over 20 hours in now. And I've been absolutely enjoying it. I've been loving it. I gotta say the map is
wait. Alex is telling you to stop. I don't know why.
Spoilers, probably. This is a spoiler-free discussion, right? Brandon?
Spoiler-free discussion.
Okay.
Of course.
Right.
Of course. But man, the environment.
Also, Alex, that's generally not how it works. If you are worried about spoilers.
Yeah, I mean, hey, if you want to know absolutely nothing, that it's amazing. But no, the environments, as usual, 10 out of 10. From Software is like, no, stop with the milking. Okay, we're moving on from the milking. We're moving on from the milking. But From is truly the master of something that many game developers do not understand. In that it's that a map that is taller than it is wide and very densely populated is so much more enjoyable and rewarding than a map that is incredibly vast and incredibly spread out and like sparse. I am just always amazed by what they can achieve when they play with verticality. We even see it in the base game a lot where there's like you're looking at the map, right? But there's like 3 levels. And even, developers like Nintendo do this with like Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. Some developers get it, but many don't. And this DLC is kind of no different. The bosses have been awesome. The visuals have been awesome. The new weapons have been amazing. They just continue to up the ante. Even some of the animations you see with the weapon, it almost feels like they kind of like put a little extra pan-ass on it. Like they put a little bit of extra something. Like even some of the animations that are similar to the ones in the base game have like a little bit more panache. So the story's great. I gotta say that I feel like they keep dabbling more and more with like being forward with the story. We've talked a lot in the past about how From games can sometimes struggle from like a convoluted, jumbled mess where you have to read it through descriptions and weapons, to get the story, or maybe it's not as in your face. And with this one, not spoiling anything, in the trailer, you get to see a bunch of people in the trailer, and I will say that confidently, that just continues. There's a lot of NPCs that end up being in this little jaunt. So, having a ton of fun. I hate that there's so much controversy around this. People keep bitching online about it being hard. And to that I say, get good. And not in like a shitty way, but like just explore, learn how to play the game. Did you play the base game? That's what I say to the people that say that it's difficult. I'm like, do you know how there's like a notable step up in difficulty the third half of the game? It's like that, but after that. You know what I mean? It's just it's always going to be hard. And if you use the exact same tactics you used in the base game, that doesn't mean that you're going to be successful. Just like when you overcame stuff in the vanilla game, you must adapt, you must overcome. And if you plan on just powerhousing everything like you could in the base game, that's just not how it's going to work. There is a new upgrade system that we had talked about that was rumored weeks ago. It's kind of like a Sekiro system where instead of leveling your character, you essentially have these currencies that you collect that like boost your level not falsely, because it helps you when you're in the realm of shadows. But if you go back into the base map, then you no longer have those upgrades. So, yeah, man, just visuals out of this world, story out of this world. And I don't know. I sadly think I'm probably about halfway done with it. I'm being incredibly, incredibly thorough. But just completely blown away. And so excited to finally, not that I know everything about the base game, but when you played hundreds and hundreds of hours of it, it's such an amazing feeling to almost recapture the wonderment of playing it within the first 60 hours again. And yeah, boys, it's just, I cannot.
I feel like a lot of the people, and I have not played the DLC, so I could be way off base here, but a lot of the people who are like, this game's too hard, I'm like, you're the guy who Googled most broken beginner builds for Elden Ring or something like that.
Right.
Or you've taken the experience of hundreds and thousands of other people and used it to get the most broken, and there's no guides out. Well, there probably are by now, but you haven't learned it.
Make it your
yourself.
own.
And it is supposed to be hard. These games are hard. They are intimidating.
Yes.
And this is supposed to be more of that at a higher level. So even if you've put 300 hours into the game and your character's level 250, these are different bosses. It just changes. So I don't know. Again, I've not played it. I can't speak myself on the difficulty level. I'm sure it spikes. But like, isn't that the whole point?
It's been the whole point since the beginning.
Yeah.
And now that you're saying this, Ben, I do want to touch on one more thing. And someone in chat or someone in Discord can correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like there has been even an emphasis on using summons in this DLC. Like, I know everyone always bitches, the incredibly toxic people. If you want the game to be incredibly difficult, don't use summons. That's fine. And
Yeah.
in my entire first playthrough, excluding one boss, the twin gargoyles, I use no summons just because I've never done it before on PC. Because I wanted it to be difficult, but I'm not going to shame somebody because guess what? I'm coming out and saying for the rest of my playthroughs, for the most part, I use summons throughout all of them. And that's fine.
It's part of the game.
It's part of the game, buddy.
It's like saying, I mean, this is an incredibly basic reduction of it, but it's like saying play Uncharted, but don't duck behind any cover.
Yeah, it's truly asinine and toxic. But what I can say to that in rebuttal to those people that are clearly incorrect is that in the DLC there is 2 currencies that you use to level up now. One that I said just buffs your stats generally, but there's also an Ash of War one, which shows me even more so that they're encouraging you. They're not only buffing you for the DLC, they're buffing your ashes for the DLC. So it's just, if you're finding it difficult, go back to the base game, get the Mimic tier, go back to the base game, get the Black Knife Tish, get a good Ash if you're having a lot of problems, or summon people in. That's just it, man. And if you want it to be super difficult, don't. But I hate to see, and this is kind of why I'm pounding this home, is I hate to see that I believe maybe yesterday I saw that there, like, maybe it was categorized as like mixed reviews on Steam now, which is just, it's upsetting to me. Like, truly, it's very upsetting. And this goes back to the whole review Bob thing that Dave talked about. And I was just an advocate of this, but now that it's affecting me personally, I'm going to flip flop any way I want, just like Ben at the beginning of the show. But no, anyway, but it just sucks. It sucks because it's clearly a masterpiece DLC paired to one of the best games of all time. So anyway, boys, that's kind of my 2 cents. And I'm sure I'll be talking much more about it, but I also think, non-spoiler, I'm going to say one more thing. I think I may have accidentally stumbled upon the end of the game way before the end of the game, which I don't like that I did. So I don't like that ended up happening. I'm not even going to Google anything about it. I'm just going to fuck off. Like, I went into the end of the game and I was like, oh, fuck, this looks like the end. I'm fighting someone I recognize. I'll just say that. So we'll see, but super, super awesome. Super fantastic.
I'm going to play, I'm going to let me solo her and then complain that it's hard. That's kind of what it is. It's like,
Literally.
I mean, not using the tools in the game. If you want to do that because you want it to be harder, that's fine. But to review bomb the game because you were like, oh, I didn't level up my flasks. I still only have 4 heals. That's just pretty dumb. Pretty dumb.
Yeah. It's nonsensical.
You were just informed by chat that is not the last boss. By the way, Brandon.
Oh, good.
They must have been watching your stream or something.
Yeah, they were. Also, Hulk Hogan was in the stream as well. There was an area where there was brown waterfalls, and we called it Fecal Falls, and that definitely sounds like a Fortnite location.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. Brandon, I assume the Erd is all you've been playing, right?
That's it. That is. Right. Well, I played like one night. I do think they updated the game today. I think they're adding more maps, which is cool.
Nice. Dave,
Hi,
what have you been playing besides fireworks on the side of the road in Ohio?
Yeah. Not much new. I've only been playing more Deep Rock Galactic, Season 5. And this past week I did discover one thing that Deep Rock Galactic is missing, and that is a player reporting functionality.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Deep Rock Galactic has always been known as a game with a very, very good community. And I think it is, and it's deserving of that reputation. But, you know, there's shitty people in every community. And I found one last week. So there was a guy who was host, and basically what happened was he stayed on the at the beginning of the mission and was AFK.
Come on.
And so me and 2 other guys were in the mission. We did it was a long cave too. So a long dive. So did everything and then called in for the drop pod for exfil, and suddenly the guy comes back to life. And yeah, as soon as we got back to the space rig, disbanded the team. And because it was host, you can't kick him. but
Right.
if you can't report people in Deep Rock, and again, it's technically an indie game, so I can't fault them too much for it, but that would be something nice to have, is an ability to say this guy's a dickhead, he doesn't belong in this game. So
Yeah.
at least now I know, in public service announcement, if you're playing Deep Rock Galactic and the host is AFK, just leave, go join another game, because it's probably an asshole and wants you to do all the work for him. So yeah.
Dave, what new have they added in season 5?
So obviously a new performance pass with new cosmetics. Again, the performance pass is completely free. There's a new mission type that I talked about last week. The season is called Drilling Deeper, and the new mission type is all about drilling deeper. There is a new enemy type and a new in-game activity. And the new enemy type is wild. It's like this like banshee thing that like jumps around on all fours, and it's unlike any of the actual bugs in the game. So it's a cool thing to experience. But yeah, other than that, there's not a whole lot that's new. If you played the game before, then it'll still be familiar to you. So yeah, Deep Rock is still great.
Cool.
I also started up Gears of War 3. I'm just about near the end of the second act, so approaching the halfway point of the game, and kind of have mixed feelings about Gears of War 3 to this point. I love that they added in the new faction, which is the Lambent in Gears of War 3, and I think like the archetypes are all very similar to the Locust, but they're different enough that you feel like you have to approach situations more differently, and they have different attacks, and they're cool. They all explode and stuff, and they're glowing and shit, so that's cool. And the game starts really good, but then like you get this backstory mission on like Cole that I don't need backstory on Cole, and they add in like these new characters who aren't interesting, and like Baird has gone from like a pessimistic dickhead to like a wisecracking sort of part of the team now, that like it's just not funny. And it just all kind of feels like when they got to Gears of War 3, they started to run out of ideas on how to keep it fresh. But on the flip side, like the story is really cool. It's 2 years after Gears of War 2 ended, and the Locusts are kind of on the run, but they're still a threat, and humans are kind of on the run, and they're very decentralized, and Marcus's dad sends you this like interesting message about what's actually happening to the planet. And so it's a really intriguing story, but there's a lot of like shitty parts mixed in there. But I don't know, from a gameplay perspective, Gears of War has aged so well. So I'm still having a lot of fun with it. And it, these games take like 8 to 12 hours, but I feel like I could burn through them in a night because they're just so fun. So yeah, that's me this week.
I at some point want to get back and play them all again. I think I've mentioned that before, but I want to go through and play all 5 of the mainline games at some point. And like you said, you can just kind of run through them all. Yeah, I don't need to explore everything. I don't need to get all the achievements, whatever. I just want to experience them again for the 8th time.
I actually feel like the achievements in these games in particular really get in the way of what the pace that the game is supposed to be, which what makes it so good. So, yeah.
Did you guys ever play? I know we've talked about this before, but any like actual real multiplayer in Gears of War back in the day?
A little bit. I was really bad at it.
Yeah, I wasn't very good, but I was playing like in a LAN party with my buddies most of the time I was playing it. I watched recently a video of some like competitive Gears stuff. I'm like, oh, I didn't even know you could do that. Like there's little mechanics in the game that I never experienced it in. I don't know, I want to say probably like 50, 70 hours total of multiplayer with buddies.
Was it like mantle canceling and stuff?
There's mantle canceling and
where they're like
they go back and forth real quick. Yeah.
Dude, all I'm saying is that they better take that shit out in the new one.
Yeah.
I legitimately feel like you're not going to get anybody to want to play the game if that's the kind of the skill ceiling that you got to go up against. I don't know. That's just me.
Well, Brandon, you know what I would say to that?
Get good.
Get good. And also Hong Kong.
Dude, I could hear it too.
Nice. As for me, I want to play Deep Rock, Dave, by the way. I don't know when we'll get a chance to play together, but I need that. I bought it on Steam and haven't booted it up because I know there's no cross-play or cross-progression. So I need to get in there and get my character leveled up. Is it? I'm having trouble remembering. I almost never played it solo. Is it possible to play, like, not with other players? Is it possible really to play it?
Yeah, you have Bosco, that little bot that follows you
Right.
around, and he can do mining for you. It's not as fun, in my opinion, and caves can take a really long time.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is possible.
Yeah. But it scales, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
again, you set the cave complexity and the threat level before you start a
Right.
mission, so you
Right.
can set it all to easy.
Yeah.
But yeah,
yeah, either that or just keep your shit open. Like I would do that, and people would join me all the time.
I don't think I've ever had a game where after 5 minutes of hosting a public match solo, I haven't had a full lobby as
Yeah.
soon as, within 5-10
But what
minutes
if I
of
don't want
starting.
anyone else to join
Yeah,
me?
you just play solo.
Okay.
Dude, Bosco, yeah.
Yeah. I just a lot of time, I mean, I know you can turn it off and everything, but I hate to do that. But if I leave a game open, but I just hate when I'm like just chilling, listening to a podcast, watching a YouTube video while I'm playing, or more like listening to a YouTube video, and people come in and start running their mouths or have a fan running in the background or whatever
Right.
in voice chat. So I don't know. But I do want to play soon. I've been playing a little game called Sea of Thieves. I don't know if you guys have ever heard me talk about it before.
Saw it.
Yeah, saw it. I've been playing a good bit of it this week, especially. I don't really know why I've been playing so much more of it lately. There's a bunch of new commendations that got nerfed, and just running through doing stuff that I've never done. Like, I've always talked about wanting to 100% the game. There's one achievement I probably will never get. Not achievement, but a commendation that I'll never get because it's killing 5 of the most rare thing in the game that I've played for 4,000 hours and never even seen it. So I don't know that I'll get that one, but I do want to get like all the cosmetics unlocked that I possibly can and everything. But what I've done this week a good bit is, excuse me, I've been playing on my PS5. I hook up a mouse and keyboard to it and everything, but I've just been playing it because I bought it on there. I feel like maybe I should get a little a little experience out of it. And I was playing solo, and I was just absolutely demolishing and steamrolling everyone, with a very few exceptions. I didn't sink to anyone. I didn't lose anything, and I'm almost exclusively just going for other players. And I'm like, what is going on? That the PlayStation community is so bad. I know they've had it for a short time, and I know I've played a lot of it, but like, there's a lot of people who play it on other platforms. And then I realized I had not only crossplay turned off, which I didn't mean to do. I meant to be in like whatever servers, I not only had crossplay off, but somehow there was a glitch in the matrix, and I got into controller only lobbies. Now the controller players have aim assist now, so it is a little bit different. So I was playing on mouse and keyboard in PlayStation only lobbies, but by the way, you have to opt into PlayStation only lobbies, so I have no idea how that happens. I think it was just left over from the beta. And I was also playing on controller servers, which you're not supposed to be able to do if you're using a mouse and keyboard. So I corrected that and had a little more competition for sure. But anyway, always just having a lot of fun with the game. Grinding for cosmetics that I didn't think I was going to ever grind for. And I don't know, man, there's just something about that game. It can go from being like the most chill vibe in the world to one of the most competitive experiences in a heartbeat. So I really, really love it. Another little game that somebody in my Twitch chat, I'm failing to remember who, told me about, called Arcade Paradise. And I was like, oh, I wonder what this game is. And I looked it up, and somebody in my Steam family already had it. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to check it out. They did it after they heard me talking about Gas Station Simulator. They mentioned it to me. This is a game where you go in and your dad tells you he wants you to run his laundromat. And you run the laundromat, you're picking up trash off the floor, taking out the trash, cleaning the bathroom, doing people's laundry for them. Even though it's a coin op, whatever it's called, coin op laundromat, you're still doing the laundry for them, which I don't really understand. But anyway, you make money that way. And then eventually you discover there's a back room with like a couple little arcade machines in it. And you ask your dad, like, well, hey, we're actually making more money on these arcade games than we are on the laundry. And he's like, no, I forbid you don't do it. So instead, your character just says, I'm going to buy more arcade machines and renovate the place and grow the arcade. And eventually you just keep adding more and more arcade machines and making money from that. The coolest thing about this game is not necessarily the sim management of it, but it's that every game or every arcade game that you buy for your arcade is playable in the game. And most of them are very simple. They're really, you know, they're not easy, but it's not a full game in and of itself. But every game that you can buy for the arcade is playable in the game while you're in like the back room of the laundromat. So it's really cool. Just like I'll pop in and do like the things that you have to do and then forget about everybody's laundry and just play the arcade machines. And then the more you play those arcade machines, you can set different things like, okay, should this game cost 50 cents or a dollar or 75 cents? Should you let it be multiplayer or not, whatever. And you can like, you know, min max the amount of money that you're making from them. And the more you play them, the more popular they get. So then that game will make more money over something else, and you go and collect the money, and you can buy more arcade machines. So it's really cool, and there's a couple really, really good, actually, very simple but very good arcade games built within that game. And I don't know, I just think it's cool because you see a lot of simulators, and yeah, maybe there's a lot of stuff to do, but this one just adds that extra little dynamic that not only do you have to do somebody's laundry, but you can also buy an arcade machine. And not only are you making money off the arcade, you're going and actually playing the arcade games. And like right now I have like 10 machines, and 8 of them I'm like, I actually legitimately would just like to play that without having to worry about the laundry.
Right.
I think that's a good mark. Like it's like the game is about the management of this business. But in reality, I'm just having fun playing the arcade games. So it's a lot of fun. I think it's, I don't know, 10 or 15 bucks on Steam if anyone wants to check it out. And there's like an infinite, I'm sure even once I get through this, and I'm kind of taking longer on the story because I'm not paying attention as much to the business as I am the arcade machines. But I guarantee, like, even if you played through the whole thing and got through the whole campaign, there's still like lots of fun to be had because some of these machines are like genuinely good little mini games. So Arcade Paradise, check it out if you got the itch for a simulator arcade game simulator, laundry simulator. A lot of simulators in there. You're simulating a lot of things. That's all we got. That's all we got to talk about for tonight. Boys, any final words before we go?
Hawk Tua.
Dave, you put a moratorium on that.
Spit on
Show's
that
over,
thing.
brother.
Show's over? All right. Well. With that, I guess goodbye, everyone. We'll see you next time. Don't forget, you can sign up to support us on patreon.com/handsomephantom for as little as $1. If you listen, if you watch, if you ran across this by accident, we would appreciate your support. It really does help. We got a bill coming up here pretty soon for the website and the hosting fees and everything else like that. We've got the money to cover it, but it'd be nice to have some started in there for next year. Okay, we'd appreciate that. And if you want to, you can hang out with us on handsomephantom.com/discord. We just mostly rag on Drake in there. I'm gonna be honest with you. That's mostly
lately.
Yeah. And someone I looked over at the Discord at the wrong time. Someone just posted a milking meme, a milking gif for you,
Bro.
Brandon.
No, what have I done?
A man needs a name.
You guys got to go look at it because it is
Wow.
like it's totally fine, but also at the same time, it's a little repulsive.
I don't know why
And
I
also
like
kind of hot. Yeah, I don't know.
why I like it. Oh,
Yeah.
I don't know why I like it. All right. Join the Discord. Check it out.
Yeah. Goodbye, everyone.
Thank you, Alex. We'll see you.
We'll talk to you later.
Oh God, what have I done?
We need a show title, boys.
Milked for 60 hours. Pause. No, it can't be.
Hey, I already wrote it down.
That's
All right.
pretty good.
Milked for 60 hours. Dave, we gotta set up this DRG thing, man. I'm actually itching to play it, kind of.
Rock and stone, brother.
And that's part of why I asked about solo, because I play a lot of games like between 2 and 4 a.m. when no one else is awake. So it'd be nice to level up my character a little bit. And
Yeah, a couple dives just to
yeah,
get you reacclimated with what you're doing.
Exactly.
But yeah, let me know when you're free this week.
We're
pretty
going out
busy
of
this
town.
weekend.
Yeah, I'm going out of town this weekend, and I actually already have planned. So next week sometime for sure. We'll
All
set
right.
it up. Cool.
For Carl.
Brandon, you want to jump in with us?
Yeah,
Do
yeah,
some
I'll
Rock
jump
and
in.
Stone?
Yeah, I'll jump
Do
in.
you have it
let me
on
know.
Steam?
Yeah. I think
Yeah,
we
yeah.
did.
I'm pretty sure when like Ben bought it, he's like, you should buy it. It's $20. So
I think it was 10 when we bought it.
yeah.
Yeah.
If I
Cool.
don't, I'll buy it, but I'm pretty sure I do.
Rock and Stone, brother.
That's right.
Stone. Mushroom.
Excuse me?
When you spot a mushroom in the game, I
Oh,
think they're called bolo caps. They just
We're
go,
rich.
mushroom.
We're rich.
it's really funny
Got the
because
deposit.
in Sea of Thieves, a lot of people like you'll be hiding on a crew that is like got open mics and you can hear them, and people will find treasure. And I swear this is half the time this happens. All the people in the game will like go, we're rich,
Dude,
like-
it's DRG, man.
I think it's the Game Pass effect, honestly.
We're
is that
rich.
it's also yeah, but anyway, all right, I'm gonna get out of here, boys.
All right, y'all.
You have a good night. Everybody
too.
else in chat, have a good night. Ending stream in 5 seconds. I don't know how long it'll actually take. It takes a couple seconds after I hit the button. And sometimes